I'm going to show you today how to use Wadi Addons for Elementor to display your posts. Also, how to use tabs, filter tabs to filter your posts. So let's get started. Let's add a new template. Let's select a section. Let's call it Wadi Posts. And search, let's search for Wadi Posts. Let's drop the widget. Here, the skins, we can change the layout of the current posts. Let's try card. Also on-site. Let's go back to the classic. Here we can change the number of columns. Let's try 2. Let's change the number of posts per page. Here we can change the layout of the posts. We have grid, masonry, even, and carousel. Let's try carousel. Now let's go back to grid. Here we also have enable pagination option. This will enable the pagination for posts available. Here we have pagination option, which is set on to numbers. We also have option to set it to infinite. Let's first check the numbers and the front end. Now we are in the front end. Let's go to the next page. Let's go back to the previous. Now let's go back to the editor. Let's change the pagination to infinite. Here in infinite we have 2 load events. We have on button click, and also on scroll. First, let's try on button click. Update. Let's go to the front end. Let's refresh. Let's load more posts. As you can see here, we have all the posts available. Let's go back to the editor. Let's try the load on scroll. Let's update. Let's go to the front end. Refresh. Now, as we scroll, it should load the next available post. So let's try it. As you have seen, it loaded the next posts using the scroll. Now let's go back to the editor. Let's set it to the numbers. You can here also change the text, previous and next. So let's try next page. As you can see here, it changed to next page instead of next. Let's get back to next as it was. So now let's move to query to see its options and settings. Here we have content type. We can change the custom post type here. We have post pages, landing pages, my templates, and docs. Some of them are by default from WordPress and some by plugins. For instance, Elementor provides landing pages, custom post type, and my templates. Docs is my own custom post type. So let's try posts. As you can see here in posts we have categories, which allows us to filter by match categories or exclude certain categories. Here we have cities and corporate categories. we can filter using them. So let's try filtering these posts using cities. As you've seen, it has changed. The posts only with the category cities appearing, and other posts wouldn't appear unless they have the category match cities. Also, we have here tags, which do the same thing, match and exclude tags. Also, we can filter by author role, which means so you can get posts by certain author. For instance, here we have only super admin, which is the admin of the website here. If you have more authors in the website who publish posts, you can see them here. We have also option to posts filter rule, which allows you to display certain posts as one by one instead of by whole category. Here we have a bunch of posts we can match and get those only posts. For instance, let's get New York, Los Angeles, and Seattle posts only. Now the only posts available are, as you see, New York, Los Angeles, Seattle. Because we have set here, we can exclude these certain posts. For instance, let's try exclude these posts that we have selected in here. Now we shouldn't see any of the Seattle, Los Angeles, and New York City. Now we don't see them because we have filtered using these cities and also filtered by cities category. Let's remove all the filtering. You can do it and test these options. Here we have ignore sticky posts, which allows you to ignore if you have a sticky post, you can ignore it from the query. And you also can offset a post, a certain number of posts if you want from the query. So let's try offset one post. No, so now we shouldn't see Simmons because we will offset this one. As you have seen, it has removed one post, which is Simmons. Let's try two. It should Tokyo post should disappear. Let's try. As you have seen, it has disappeared. We can remove it now. Now all posts are shown as expected. You can also exclude the current posts. So the current post in the query shouldn't appear. If you are in a certain post or something like this, you shouldn't see the current post you are displaying, and you shouldn't see the current post on the query itself. So you can do exclude, enable, toggle this option and exclude this post. So let's remove it. Here we have options for ordering, which allows you to order your posts according to your needs. For instance, we have a none, which doesn't do any ordering. Also ID, author, title, name, date, last modified, random, and comments count. So you can change, for instance, let's change the date by itself to the ascending instead of descending. So it should appear the oldest post should appear now. As you have seen, it showed the oldest post to the newest post. You can change it to descending again and try, for instance, the title. Now it is using the word by letters in the title. Now let's check not found and no more posts. Let's toggle this option and see what it does. Here we have option to show a text if there is no posts in the query, and display search box. Let's try make the query don't show any posts so that we can see the not found option. Let's for instance exclude authors. We have one author, so we will exclude super admin. That means all posts will disappear and no found posts will show. As you can see here, the text no posts found, and the search box we can disable it, for instance. Let's toggle it back. We can change here the text. Sorry, try later. Now let's disable this option. Let's go to the display options. First, let's go back to remove the query here, the authors, so that you can see our post back. Let's go to the display options. Here we have title tag, which allows you to set the HTML tag for it. At the moment, by default, it is at h2. Let's try h1. As you can see, it has gone a bit bigger because h1 is bigger than h2. Let's try h6. As you can see, we have changed the HTML tag. Let's go back to the default. You can also change the row spacing between the posts. So we have two rows here. Let's increase the size. Also, we have here column spacings, which allows you to set the spacing between the columns. Let's try it. We have removed all the space. Let's make it as it was 5. And let's make it the row spacing as it was 5. Also, here we have alignment, which allows you to set the text alignment. You have left, center, right, and justify. Let's try them. As you can see, it's centered. And now align to the right. Let's set it back as it was, left. Now also we have featured image options. Let's try them. Here we have the feature image. We can disable it. Then this featured images will disappear. So let's try it. As you can see, it has disappeared. Let's toggle it back. Also, we can do add a link feature to link to the featured image so that it can be clickable from the front end. So let's try it in the front end. Update. Let's go back to the front end. Let's refresh. Now, as you can see, the images, featured images are clickable. Let's try. As you can see, it redirected us to the post itself by clicking the featured image. Let's go back to the widget. Now let's go back to the editor. Here we have the option to set the size of the featured image. We can, for instance, try thumbnail. It will be pixelated because it's so small, as you can see. And also you can have the option to change it to, for instance, medium, large, or full, or I think full is the best choice here. Here you have the option to set the height for the featured image. Let's try it. You can choose from rem and percentage em. Also, it is responsive, so you can set it for different views. Let's try it for tablet. Let's change it to, for instance, 150. And let's change it for mobile to, for instance, 120. So now you have a responsive view for each image, for each view. Also here we have image fit, which allows you to set the image fit. So let's try it. As you can see, it's a bit different. It contains the whole image within the container. Also, it's similar to contain, but it's a bit better. So let's try now. Go back to cover. Also here, image scale, which allows you to set scale when you hover on the featured image. Let's try it. As you can see, it scales when you hover. So now let's go to the post display. Here you can set the display for contents within the post box. Let's try it. Here first we can have remove this post content, this one. So let's try it. As you have seen, it has removed the the content of the post. Also, you can remove the post meta, which is these options. That's right. Let's first remove post author. As you can see, date, have removed date, and post data, post comments, and post categories. Now we can also remove the featured image. That's right. As you can see, we have here posts with only the title. Let's get things back as well as it were. Here in the post content, you can change it to the from excerpt to post content, which will display the whole post content, which is not recommended. I think it will be too long. As you can see, the whole post content has displayed here. Let's remove it to get it back to excerpt. You can change the excerpt length by in the default in the settings. You can change the number of letters. At the moment, it says 120 letters. You can change it, for instance, to 200 letters. As you can see, it has increased the number of letters in the excerpt. Also, you can change the excerpt link type to none. This means the read more will disappear, so let's try it. Now, has disappeared. You can also change it to dots. As you can see here, these dots which display after the excerpt. This is the link, which is the default option. You can change the text for read more. For instance, read here. As you can see, it has changed. Read more. Okay, now let's go. Let's set these options back first. Here you have the option also to make the avatar disappear. So disable it, enable it again. Let's set these options back. Now, one of the most important options available, which is filters tabs. Let's try it. Here we can filter by using the categories or tags. So let's try it. You'll see the tabs will display. Here the all, which display whole post is available. Let's try it in the front end to see it. Now, using these filter tabs, we can filter these posts. So we have cities here, which is, for instance, doesn't have cities tag. So the cities category, I mean. Let's try. This should disappear when we click on cities. As you have seen, it has disappeared. Also can change it to corporate, which means the categories with the corporate only display here. Let's try and categorize. We don't have any posts in categorized. Let's go back to all. So now let's go back to the front end. Let's try change filters by to tags. Let's update and try it in the front end. As you can see here, we can filter using the tags. Also here, you can also from the editor, let's change it to layout to be masonry. You can see the display effect of the masonry library. Let's try it. Update. Let's go back to the front end. Let's refresh. Now it will display the masonry effect, which is a great effect you can use. As you have seen, the effect can be shown when you have multiple posts. Let's try this. As you can see the effect. Also, let's go back to the editor. Let's change it to the infinite and load on scroll, and also change the filters to filter by categories. Update. Let's go back to the front end to see the masonry effect with the load on scroll. So let's try cities. As you can see, it loaded all the images using the load and scroll and masonry effect. You can also use even. Let's try it. Let's go back to the front end, refresh. Let's try cities. Similar effect to the masonry, but it forces the posts to be displayed in even rows. So let's go back to the editor. I think these are all options for the content. Here we also have a bunch of options for the styling. Here you can style the options for the filters. For instance, let's try to change the alignment. Also the hover color for bosses. Also when a boss is active, you can change its text color. So this one, as you can see, it has changed the color of the text to black. Border when active. Let's try it. As you can see, it's changed everything here. There are lots of options for styling. You can discover them by using them and try them. And also I will put a link for the options and documentation for the whole Wadi Posts widget in the description of this video. So check it out. If you need any help, please contact us through the plugin website, and also through the plugin itself. You can go from dashboard. You can go here and contact us. If you have any other questions, you can always contact us using the plugin itself or through our website wadyweb.com. Thank you.